You eat a burger at dinner, feel completely fine, and go to bed. Then, around midnight, your skin erupts in hives, your stomach cramps, and your throat starts to tighten. The culprit may not be bad meat, it may be a lone star tick that bit you weeks ago, quietly rewiring your immune system to attack red meat. Now this strange allergy is spreading north, and scientists are racing to understand why. Alpha-gal syndrome is a food allergy, but not the kind most people imagine. It is an immune reaction to a sugar molecule called galactose alpha-1, 3-galactose, usually shortened to alpha-gal. That sugar is found in most mammals. Cows have it, pigs have it, sheep, deer, rabbits, and many other mammals have it too. Humans and other primates do not, which means the immune system can learn to see alpha-gal as foreign. When that happens, the body can make immunoglobulin E antibodies, the same class of antibodies involved in many serious allergies. After a person eats beef, pork, lamb, venison, or another mammal meat, those antibodies can help trigger symptoms ranging from itching and stomach pain to a dangerous allergic reaction. Some people also react to mammal-derived ingredients, including gelatin, dairy, or certain medical products, though reactions vary widely from person to person. The strange part is that many patients ate red meat safely for years. Then after a tick bite, their immune system changed its target. So the central mystery is this: how can one bite teach the body to treat ordinary meat like a threat? The tick most closely linked to this syndrome in the United States is the lone star tick. It gets its name from the single pale white spot on the back of the adult female, and for years it was known mostly as a nuisance of the South and East. The suspected chain reaction begins when the tick bites and feeds. As it stays attached, it releases saliva into the skin. That saliva contains a mix of molecules that help the tick keep feeding, and researchers think this is where the immune system gets pushed in the wrong direction. Alpha-gal may be present in the tick, in material from an earlier animal host, or introduced through the bite in a way that makes the body pay attention. The exact steps are still being studied, but the result is clearer than the mechanism. Some people begin producing immunoglobulin E antibodies that recognize alpha-gal. From that point on, a steak or a strip of bacon can carry the same target. The immune system sees the alpha-gal on mammal meat and responds as if something dangerous has entered the body. The most deceptive part is the timing. Many food allergies strike within minutes. Alpha-gal reactions often appear hours after the meal, sometimes in the middle of the night, which can make the cause hard to identify and the danger easy to miss. This delay is the reason alpha-gal syndrome can hide in plain sight. A person may eat beef, pork, lamb, venison, or another mammalian product at dinner and feel completely normal for hours. Then, 3 to 8 hours later, the immune reaction begins. By then, the meal feels too far away to be the obvious suspect. The first signs may be hives spreading across the skin, intense itching, stomach cramps, nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. In severe cases, the reaction can escalate into anaphylaxis, with swelling, trouble breathing, a drop in blood pressure, dizziness, or collapse. That gap sends patients and doctors down the wrong path. If someone ate shrimp with a steak, shellfish may get blamed. If the meal had a strong sauce, spices may seem responsible. If several people ate together, stomach pain can be written off as food poisoning, even when only one person reacts. Alcohol or exercise can also be suspected because both can make allergic reactions worse or more unpredictable. Sometimes there is no clear suspect at all. A patient wakes up covered in hives at 2 in the morning, goes to urgent care, gets treated, and is told it was probably a random allergic event. The burger from the night before never enters the conversation. That is what makes the syndrome so hard to diagnose. The trigger is ordinary food, the reaction is delayed, and the emergency can arrive while the patient is asleep. A dinner that seemed harmless can become a medical crisis in the middle of the night. For years, cases like that were treated as isolated mysteries. Alpha-gal syndrome was only identified in the early 2000s, after researchers began connecting delayed meat reactions to an antibody response against the alpha-gal sugar. What started as a strange medical finding has since become a recognized allergy seen across clinics, emergency rooms, and public health reports. The scale is no longer small. Clinical and public health reporting linked to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention identified more than 100,000 presumed cases in the United States between 2010 and 2022. Those are not just people with vague symptoms. They are patients whose testing and medical records pointed toward alpha-gal syndrome. Even that number is likely an undercount. Many people are never tested for alpha-gal antibodies. Some are told they have chronic hives, irritable bowel problems, anxiety-related reactions, or unexplained anaphylaxis. Others change their diets on their own after noticing a pattern, without ever appearing in official data. That means alpha-gal syndrome sits in an uneasy category. It is recognized enough to be tracked, but still missed often enough that the real burden is unclear, and the risk is not staying fixed in the places where doctors first learned to look for it. The next concern is geography. The Lone Star tick has long been associated with the South and parts of the eastern United States, but the map is changing. As the tick expands into new areas, alpha-gal risk is moving with it. For much of its recorded history, the Lone Star tick was treated as a southern and south-central problem. Its strongest foothold was in states such as Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, and across the humid southeast, where wooded edges, tall grass, and large deer populations gave it ideal places to feed and reproduce. That older map is no longer enough. Established populations and frequent reports have pushed farther into parts of the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, southern New England, and portions of the upper Midwest. In some places, the tick is not just appearing as an occasional hitchhiker. It is being found often enough that researchers and health departments are watching for local risk. Several forces may be helping that movement. Warmer winters can allow more ticks to survive the cold months. Suburban development creates fragmented habitats, where deer, mice, and people overlap at the edges of lawns, trails, and woods. High deer numbers matter because adult Lone Star ticks feed heavily on deer, helping sustain tick populations across a landscape. Human behavior also plays a role. People hike, camp, hunt, landscape, travel with pets, and move through brushy areas where ticks wait on vegetation. A tick does not need to migrate hundreds of miles on its own if hosts and human movement help carry it into new territory. The difficult part is that alpha-gal cases do not always respect the classic tick map. Reports are now showing up in places where many doctors and residents never thought of the Lone Star tick as a local concern. That is what makes the northward shift so unsettling. The allergy can arrive before a community fully realizes the risk has changed. Living with alpha-gal syndrome can turn ordinary meals into a research project. It is not just skipping a steak. Many people have to avoid beef, pork, lamb, venison, and other mammal meats, then look deeper for hidden ingredients in soups, sauces, gravies, broths, gelatin, and some processed foods. The sensitivity is different from person to person. One patient may react after eating a hamburger, but tolerate small amounts of dairy. Another may need to avoid a much wider list of mammal-derived ingredients, depending on their symptoms and medical guidance. That uncertainty is part of what makes the condition so hard to manage. Restaurants can become stressful because the risk is not always visible. A vegetable dish might be cooked with bacon fat. A sauce might use beef stock. A dessert might contain gelatin. And unlike many food allergies, alpha-gal reactions are often delayed, sometimes appearing hours after a meal, when the connection is harder to trace. For people with severe reactions, doctors may prescribe emergency medication, including epinephrine, which means leaving the house requires planning. Meals, travel, school lunches, cookouts, and family gatherings all carry new questions. That is why prevention matters. There is no practical way to inspect every future meal with perfect certainty. The clearest way to reduce the risk of alpha-gal syndrome is to avoid the tick bite that can start it. Risk reduction starts before you step into tall grass, leaf litter, or brushy edges where ticks wait for a host to pass. Use an Environmental Protection Agency registered repellent on exposed skin, and follow the label closely. Clothing treated with permethrin can add another layer of protection, especially socks, shoes, pants, and outdoor work clothes. In tick habitat, cover the easy entry points. Wear long pants, tuck pants into socks when practical, and choose lighter colored clothing so crawling ticks are easier to spot. Stay toward the center of trails, keep grass trimmed around yards, and be careful at the border where lawn meets woods. After outdoor activity, check your skin the same day. Look behind knees, around the waist, underarms, along the hairline, and in other warm, hidden areas. Showering can help you find ticks early, and clothes can go into a hot dryer to kill ticks that came inside with you. If a tick is attached, remove it promptly with fine-tipped tweezers, pulling straight upward close to the skin. Then watch your body over the following days and weeks. A rash, fever, unusual illness, or delayed hives, swelling, stomach symptoms, or trouble breathing after eating mammalian meat should be taken seriously. If those delayed reactions happen, ask a healthcare professional whether alpha-gal testing makes sense. The tick is small, but awareness changes the outcome. A Lone Star tick bite can leave a long shadow. Alpha-gal syndrome can make red meat and other mammalian products risky, with reactions delayed for hours and easy to misread. Thank you for watching. Comment if ticks are common where you live. Share this with someone who hikes, hunts, gardens, or lives in tick country, and subscribe for more science-driven health stories.